FOG Andrew here, and the coach here from Family Gamers. Welcome, War Gamers, to an exciting, awesome episode. So this video is going to be our top 5 favorite board games of all time, with an honorable mention in there. So we did do our top 5 favorite miniature games of all time. And originally that was going to be just a standard video on the channel, but then we decided to also put it onto iTunes and Spotify as a podcast, a special, zero point 0.5 edition of the podcast. So that was 1.5. So this is going to be 2.5, but this will be on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes. So you get the video version here on YouTube, and then you also have the audio version here on Spotify and
Right.
iTunes.
So watch it on YouTube and then listen to it in the car.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
do it once on Spotify and then on the way home, iTunes.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And yeah, I mean, so if you don't know who we are, I'm Andrew, that's Coach. We do a bunch of miniature gaming, board gaming, tabletop gaming, war gaming stuff over on YouTube and Instagram, and obviously we have the podcast as well. You can check out our link tree, which is in the description, to our socials, and our main thing is pretty much our YouTube channel. That's where we post pretty much weekly on there. And yeah, so I think it's time to get into this.
All
So
right,
now,
let's get into it.
yeah. So the quick little disclaimer here. Number one, these are strictly board games. So things like Marvel Champions, the card game, not going to be on here because that is a card game, strictly card game. Things that have a central board, some kind of board that you're playing on. That's kind of obviously in the name board games. So card games, it's just like a separate kind of thing. So we kept strictly board games in there. Number two, these are games that we have played.
That's
So
very important.
very important. So you will, if you get mad that what is it, Brass of Birmingham or whatever that game is called, or what, I forgot what it's called, that's not on this list. Well, that's because we don't have it.
Right.
And yes, it's the number one ranked game on Board Game Geek, but we
I
don't have it.
I never heard of it.
Well, and we've never played it. So um,
But
maybe one day.
if something comes up that we didn't cover, or something comes up that why didn't this make the list? That's probably the reason, and let us know, and then we can maybe try it out.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So, if you guys have recommendations for board games that didn't make the list, let us know in the comments below. And we also want to hear what your top 5 board games are in the comments as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's pretty much it, right? That's all the,
Mm-hmm. Why
the
don't we go through?
disclaimers.
We should go through the how we do it. Like, what's our ranking system, and
Yep, yep.
what's
If you
the
wanna,
procedure?
kind of talk
Follow
about that.
along. So we have top five, which would be in order. We're going to go from 5 to 1, but we also have an honorable mention that, like, it didn't make our top five, but if we were going top six, it would have done it. Or we like the game and there's something about it we don't like, and if it could be improved or whatnot, and that's the honorable mention. So another thing too is when we were discussing this show, we discussed parameters, and me and Andrew's top five plus honorable mention, but we don't know our list. So it's a reveal for both of us. I have my suspicions. Andrew has his suspicions. Where stuff will land, we don't know. But they might be the same, might be different. But it's all right now. It is totally secret. And like the Oscars, we'll open up the envelopes and we'll get to it there. So without further ado, Andrew, why don't we start off with your honorable mention?
Well, my little honorable mention is actually a game that you have not played. It's the only game on this list that you haven't played,
Hmm.
and that's kind of one of the reasons why it's an honorable mention.
Okay.
But here, I'm going with Chronicles of Crime.
Okay.
So, I made a list of the board games that we have, that we've played, and that, to kind of make this concise list. And I was, looking at all the games, and I was like, you know what? Chronicles of Crime is, just thinking back on it, is fan frigging tastic. Okay, so made by Lucky Duck Games over here. It's basically you're an investigator, or technically like a group of investigators if you play with multiple players, and you have to go solving different crimes. Now, sounds kind of generic, but the cool thing about it is, number one, it uses an app, and that kind of increases the I guess difference. I should say, let me reward that. It makes it different from a lot of other games because it uses an app, and every card has a little QR code. So if you want to talk to someone, you're scanning the barcode or the QR code on their card, and that's how you talk to somebody. If you want to go to another location, you scan the location's QR code, and then you go to that location. If you want to ask someone about an item, you scan the person, and then you scan the item. So it's a very, very fun game, and I even played it with mom. So, which she's not really, too crazy into board games. She always says, I wanna play a game that I don't have to think a lot. And then this, I thought would be perfect for her because she loves, the ID mysteries and TV and stuff like that.
True crime,
Exactly,
all that stuff. Yeah,
exactly. So I mean, it's a fantastic game.
She did say that she did enjoy doing it. It sounds pretty cool. I don't know why we haven't played it.
Yeah, it is a definitely fun game. So like the main box is standard modern London kind of things, and then they have scenarios on the app. That's how you kind of go through everything. But then they have other boxes where they have they have an expansion, which me, I love expansions, where it's in the 80s and it's like a mix of Stranger Things and Scooby Doo. And then you're doing the mystery during the day, but you gotta get home for bedtime, like
Right.
And then they have like standalone boxes, which we have two of them. 1400, which takes place in the year 1400, and then so it's like a little medieval kind of thing. Then the year 1900, which is obviously in the 1900s, and then they have another one in the year 2400, so it's in the future, but you play as relatives of each other. And then they have a fourth box that combines it all together. Don't have those yet, but I have the 1400 and 1900 box that have new scenarios and stuff like that. So I mean, this is an honorable mention because it's great. It's a fantastic game. There's only one thing I have to say about it, is that it's really hard to replay the missions if you've played them already. Even if you don't complete it, it's still hard to go back and replay it, because you kind of know what you got to do, and then you have to go back and scan everything in the order you did it to try to see where you messed up. It's hard to do that.
So you just have to start all over again, basically.
Right.
All right.
Well, you'd have to start all over again, but then like scan them the exact same way you did it the last time, and then it's kind of tedious, but it's still a really good game. But that's enough about Chronicles of Crime. Coach, your honorable mention.
My honorable mention is Pandemic from Z-Man Games.
Whoa.
Pandemic is a game that came into more relevance, and for some reason 2020 we played a lot of it. For some reason, I don't know why, but in 2020 we played Pandemic quite a bit. It is a co-op. You and your fellow adventurers are either crisis managers or medics or scientists, whatever, and you're trying to stop the plague or whatever pandemic is in whatever country it is. You have to do that. I love the cubes, right? Love the, you're pulling the thing. What's when there's a pandemic card that comes out, the epidemic card, and then all of a sudden everything starts going all over the place and it gets hectic. The game is made for you to lose, and you have to fight against it, and you got to really use some strategy. You got to do that, and I really do enjoy the game. I know me and you have played it a bunch of times, which is good because we can work cooperatively, and it's got kind of an AI aspect to it where you just draw the cards and it does that. And yeah, it's a solid game. I really like the game. Um, it's honorable mention just because I wanted to put it in my list, but the other five just edged it out. Nothing really wrong with the game. I like it a lot. And it's one of those games we could pick up real quick. The only I say honorable mention is you got to play it a few times as the person who spreads the disease, like the game master who spreads the disease. It takes a learning curve to do that. But other than that, it's great, man. I think it's great. I know they got a few expansions, but I really like this game. We've been playing it for a few years now, I don't know, about 8-9 years, and it's great. It's really a good game. So
Yeah, and we also have the 2 Hot Zone boxes
right,
that I think were on Mini Mart for like $3 each. So
yeah,
I picked them up
those
during an order.
those mini mart specials are you can't pass them up sometimes. And if they want to sponsor us, they're more than welcome because we order a ton of stuff from them. But I digress.
Yeah, yeah. And then they even have Pandemic Legacy, which is a
Right.
campaign game. And I got a buddy of mine who has played it before, but was talking about playing it with us. Shout out to Virgil because I know he's listening to this. But I think that'd be kind of an interesting thing, like a campaign for Pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's something like you unlock, like as you go on, you unlock, like, okay, now we have the Eastern Seaboard, but now we unlock the Midwest. And it's like, you know, things like that, so, which is kind of an interesting
Cool.
thing for a Pandemic.
It is one of those games that has a certain system about it, and then they could add stuff to it, and it's a solid system to it. So that's why I like it a lot. But Pandemic's always been fun. And then there's been a bunch of times where the disease wins, and
Right.
more than we've lost. So we're pretty. I'd say we're pretty good at it, But that's my honorable mention. So I think it's time to roll into the big five. The big 5.
Uh-oh.
So Andrew, what is your starting from the bottom to the top? Let's start with number 5.
Number 5. All right.
Cinco.
I don't know. I don't know if any of these are going to be a surprise, and I don't know if all of them are going to be a surprise. But my number 5 is going to be Gloomhaven: Jaws of the Lion. So this game is like the smaller version. This is also by Cephalofair Games. This is like the smaller version of regular Gloomhaven. Gloomhaven has about 100 scenarios and missions in there. Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion has about 25. So it's a lot more condensed. It's got less in the box. It's also a little bit more accessible for like a general audience because it's at Target.
It's cheaper.
It's a lot cheaper. And I obviously, the big Gloomhaven box is something cool, but Jaws of the Lion is something very interesting. I like, you open the book and you play on the book, and then there's a separate book that you connect to it to make a slightly bigger board. The models in it, the 4 that come in it are great. The little standees for the enemies are great. The components are great. And this is kind of like one of the campaign games, or one of the only campaign board games we've really played. Obviously I'm not counting D&D or anything in there, because we've done couple sessions of D&D, but Gloomhaven, it's kind of, it's a separate beast, but it's fantastic. I mean, we only did about 6 or 7 scenarios, which is not a lot, but I definitely reset the box so we could actually go in and replay it with like Fabian and maybe Ryan or something, and do like the 4 of us doing it, because last time we did only 3 players. I think 4 players might be a little bit more interesting. But yeah, I mean, Gloomhaven, I got it on a deal as well, so I had to pick it up, and it's fantastic. No dice, just cards, very interesting mechanics, great game. It's a great game.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It is a good game.
Well, Now, I think it's time for your number 5, Coach.
My number 5, I don't know. This might be. I think I'm going to shock you with a bunch of these, but number 5 for me is it's spooky and it is unfathomable.
Whoa.
It is.
Whoa.
It is. Um, if you see the guys on the bottom there swimming up the the terrors of the deep coming up. Basically, this is in the Lovecraft lore, Cthulhu type lore. I've read most of the Cthulhu books, Call of Cthulhu and Draken and things like that. The books, and this takes place on a ship in the early 1900s, maybe in the 20s or 30s. Around the time of when Lovecraft wrote the books, and you are traveling from England to America. Is that it, or vice versa?
Yeah, I think it's England to Boston. I know you
Right.
land in Boston. I'm not exactly sure where it starts though.
Okay, well, Boston's in America. So England's in America, but what happens is, as you're going, the monsters are attacking the ship. They're getting on board, and you're not a superhero. You're not a superhuman. It's just some regular people to work collectively and try to defeat the demons, or come from the deep. There's things that spawn. There's a female and a male character that come up and try to stop you. You got to make sure that like you're gonna fight them, repair the ship, and you're gonna keep going. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of a strategy. You play with 4 or 5 people, and then one of them comes to the terror because it's so much psychic energy that they succumb to it, and then they become the pawns of the Cthulhu monsters, and they help to sabotage the ship. And you don't find out until it's too late, or if you find out, you can try to stop them. Whatever. There's a lot of strategy involved. It is very difficult to win this game. We've lost more than we've won, especially if you get somebody who's a good spy. Undercover, they really stop you. It's really truly like it's tough, man. It's a tough game. I like the fact that the ship moves, and like some of the monsters don't make it on because they move down the line in the sea. And each of the adventurers have their own, like there's a martial arts person, there's a smarter person, there's a strong guy. I like that a lot. It's really is a good game in the Cthulhu mythos.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a fantastic game. Uh, I don't know if you knew this, but originally, because this is Fantasy Flight, they do all the Arkham horror
Right.
files games. Originally, they had the Battlestar Galactica board game, and then they didn't have the license anymore, so they said, you know what? Let's remake it, but with an Arkham horror like theme on it instead.
I didn't know that.
So and that's when they came out with Unfathomable. So Unfathomable was pretty much like a successor to Battlestar Galactica, the board game. Obviously we've never played Battlestar Galactica, the board game, but Unfathomable is really a fantastic game. I love it. I love it.
And even though it's a board game, the miniatures are really high quality, very good, and that's something up our alley because we're basically, we've been playing miniature games a lot longer than we started getting into the board games, and not just board games, but like these type of offshoot board games, not Monopoly or whatever, but like Unfathomable. And the miniatures are really high quality. They're single colored miniatures, but they're really good. What's the big guys? What is he? Dakin? Is it?
It's Mother Hydra and Father Dagon.
Dagon. That's it. And those 2 huge models are fantastic, and even the little minion models are good. I mean, it just all around everything is solid. It's a good game. I every time we played it, I enjoyed it, and that's one of those games where we go outside and we smoke cigars and we have an adult beverage and we start playing the game, and it starts to get really good. Yeah, this is a good one. It's a chunky, meaty game. I like it a lot. I really do like it a lot.
Yeah, yeah. The only thing I will say that's like an issue with it is that if I played it with 6 people one time, which I believe is the max.
Mm.
It was like my turn. I was like, all right, I'm doing this, and then I'm doing this, and then next person goes, and then it was like 30 minutes go by, and then it comes back to my turn. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right,
So
right.
it's a long game. There's stuff going on, and it's not boring. I'm just saying, it's like I'm gonna do this and this, and I wait 30 minutes for my turn. Then I'll
Yeah,
do this and this,
it's a long.
30
It
minutes
is.
for my turn.
It's not like like, oh wow, we did it real quick in 30 minutes. It's an hour, solid
Yeah,
hour at least
yeah.
minimum.
No, 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 no. It's at minimum like 2.
Well, no, I'm saying like
depending on how many players you got.
yeah, the one time we did it quick because everything went our way, but then when one or two things don't go your way, then you're going past that.
Right, right, exactly.
So I
Exactly.
remember,
But it's a great game.
I remember I smoked a Churchill and we were still playing. So that's a long commitment.
Right.
So
Yeah, definitely.
but Andrew, got to bring it into the number 4. What is your fourth?
My number 4 is gonna be Zombicide.
Whoa,
So
number 4.
right here, Zombicide Second Edition.
Yep.
As you can see,
Team up, gear up,
Um,
level up, take them down.
yes. So Adepticon, a couple years back, we played the first edition
Right.
with Phasia and at Adepticon, and it was pretty good. It's pretty good. Then I had an opportunity to get a pretty good deal on Zombicide, and Fabian was coming over, so I told him, I said, "Hey, listen, you got second edition, right?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Hey, why don't you bring that over? Let's try it out." Because I haven't played Zombicide in years. Brings it over, we play it. It's fantastic. It's really good.
Yeah.
So I ended up,
And we were
buying.
that time we played it with him. We weren't playing it correctly either.
Yeah, we messed up some stuff.
Yeah.
But I had the opportunity. I bought Zombicide for a pretty good deal, and brand new, and
And you
all
got
the
a few
models.
extra abominations too.
Yes, I got the Urban Legends Abomination set,
Yeah.
so it added a couple more abominations in there. But this is fantastic.
Mm.
A CMON game that it's amazing. It's amazing, and it's just I love the mechanics of searching for stuff and then just mowing down zombies and then picking up weapons and finding new stuff. I mean, like, remember we were playing, we got through about like 10 scenarios. We just were going through them, going through the book one by one, and like just you and I doing it. But having it as like a big group game,
Mm.
with like 4 or 5 people, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty fun.
It scales up good too. The more people you have, the better. I like that tracker, the plastic piece that you put your card in, and you move the ability, and then if you get into the yellow and red, then it gets harder. Yeah, it's good. Do you split the party? Do you not split the party? Zombicide is hard because sometimes you have to. But yeah, it's an awesome game. Miniatures are really
Right,
good.
right.
Miniatures are really good. Another Kickstarter that CMON did, and it
Yeah.
worked out.
And we did play Zombicide, the Marvel Zombies, with Phasia recently,
Mm.
and interesting. It's not bad, but we were talking about it the other day, and we were like, "Yeah, I think regular Zombicide's a little bit
I,
better."
I like the regular Zombicide. I think it's a little bit more. Um, it's I guess superheroes don't want to take extra items or Molotov cocktails, or they want to change their weapons, but there's no aspect of that into it. The Marvel one is the feats or whatever. I don't know.
Traits.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. The thing is, it's like Zombicide proper is like you're picking up items because you're just dudes. Marvel Zombies, you're not picking up anything. You're picking up getting heroic traits that you can just get as an action, and then you're fighting the zombies. But then in Zombicide proper, the abominations come out and you're screwed unless you get a Molotov cocktail. That's the only way to take them out. But then Marvel Zombies, you can just kill them. I like both. I like both the traits. I like both the items. I like both abomination styles where you can actually kill them in Marvel Zombies, and then proper Zombicide, you can't really without a Molotov. So I like both. but I think I've had more fun with regular Zombicide.
I like regular Zombicide better. I mean, I'll play Marvel again just to give it the old college try, but I really do like Zombicide a lot better.
And they have campaign boxes too,
Mm.
and where you can do a campaign expansion. They have Washington ZC, where you go through the White House and stuff. I think, and then you combine it with the tiles from regular Zombicide, and there's I think in that one or the Fort Hendricks one, there's like zombies that can shoot you. Like so, there's like there's a bunch of new stuff in those campaign boxes, and then it's not like each mission's like a one shot. It's like no, you have this mission. Okay, now we got these weapons. We bring them to the next mission.
Mm.
So it's definitely something I want to look into is getting those campaign boxes.
Right.
That's gonna elevate Zombicide into an even better game. So, but
And that's the one we have, right? That's the box we have. Zombicide.
Yep, Zombicide Second Edition here.
Yeah. All right.
And the Urban Legends Abomination expansion. Anyway, Coach, number 4 for you. What is it?
So I'm going out on a limb here, and it really toes the line between is it a board game or not. But I'm gonna have to go with my boy. I gotta go with Hellboy, number 4.
Whoa.
Number 4, Hellboy from Mantic Games. Our buddy.
Well, it's got board game in the title,
That's
so
right.
I would consider it a board game.
It says it there. I couldn't make it fit better, but it does. It says Hellboy the board game. First of all, I am a big Hellboy fan. I loved all 3 movies, even though people don't like the last one, even though it was good. The characters themselves that I've read in the comics, it's nice to play. The board you play on changes. So as you enter a room, you add tiles to it. So technically, it's a dungeon crawler, but we're considering it a board game because you're not making characters. You're not doing this. You have pre characters. You could play as Hellboy, Lobster Johnson, Abe Sapien. There's about 30 characters. We did get the Kickstarter edition where there's a ton of stuff in it. It reminds me of Zombicide in the fact that you got a ton of stuff. Mantic always over delivers on their Kickstarter, which was this Hellboy was just insane for the price. It was just insane of the stuff we got. The miniatures are fantastic. The missions are good. We've never had a time where we played it and that was kind of long or arduous. No, it's always fun. Very strategic. Everything kind of scales up. The Doom tracker and all that good stuff. So, you don't want to mess around with staying in the wrong place, wrong time. I like the fact that because it's a BPRD, they would go and investigate, so you can investigate different aspects of the room, finding out clues, and it helps you later on and whatnot. So it's a good game. I like that we don't have to. We could play 2 players cooperatively. Myself, so me and Andrew have played where we've taken 2 characters each. We've taken 1 character each, and it's got a thing where you move the tracker, move this, move that. It tells you what to do. Oh, these guys are popping up, and here they are, and whatnot. So it's good that one guy is the, I wouldn't say the dungeon master, but the person who kind of lays everything out, which is usually Andrew, and then we just kind of get through it. So I don't know if I said it, but the minis are fantastic. Hellboy looks great. I mean, it looks really good. And the thing is that Mike Mignola, who made Hellboy, and that's his artwork up there, was a big part of it. So the whole box is his artwork that he made specifically for the board game, not something where they've taken it from, like, say, a previous comic book. Even the missions that, like the Long Hunt or things like that, he redid the artwork for it. So it's got a lot of original artwork, comic book artwork in there. And he's one of the, unsung heroes, Hellboy, and the BPRD. I just love it. I think it's a great game. We've never had a bad time with it. Cards and dice and equipment and finding stuff and adding stuff.
Don't forget tokens.
And the tokens, yes, there's tons of tokens. So really good game, really solid game, a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Yeah, no, this is a great game. It's another great game. Definitely consider it a board game. Um, yeah, all the minis are great. I definitely want to get that back on the table a little bit more.
Mm.
And maybe get some of the expansions that we don't have, but who knows?
Well,
Who knows? We have to finish what we have in the box first.
We also go on Adepticon, maybe if there's a deal or something like that, or Mini Mart. The one I really would like to get is the Hellboy in Mexico, because he's like a luchador and he's fighting the luchadors, and in the new movie they actually go over that. Like he, spoiler alert, but like he goes and tries to help one of his friends out, and he's become a wrestler, but he's actually, I don't know if it's a vampire or a demon or something, but he's been switched, and he goes to save him, and and then in the comic he gets drunk on tequila, and they kind of gloss over that in the movie and go to the thing, but the movie kind of split it up like little Hellboy comics. Wasn't well received, but doesn't diminish my love for this game. So
yeah, definitely another good choice.
Yeah.
There.
But Andrew, time for number 3.
So my number 3, okay, this game and Hellboy were going back and forth. Not necessarily maybe in this spot, but my number 3 is going to be Mansions of Madness Second Edition.
Good game. As you can
see, I think I was
just the one with the iPad.
Yes.
Yes. That is a good one.
Yeah. This is the one that is fantastic. And I said it for about every game on this list. Every game on these lists are fantastic, but Mansions of Madness, I love the Cthulhu Lovecraftian aspect. I love all the Arkham horror games. I almost put Unfathomable on this list, but I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do Mansions of Madness, which I think is better than Unfathomable, because Mansions of Madness is just,
well, that's unfair because they really are two different types of board game.
Well, yeah,
it's like Unfathomable is more of a board game, but Mansions of Madness is more of a, like, it toes the line between a board game and an RPG. It really does.
Right.
It's a board game. It's a board game, but it's like there's RPG and like like in a quest or some, checking out secret rooms and talking to people is like an RPG. So it has aspects of it too in there. It to a smaller degree where it is a board game where you're not really getting into it, but yeah, it's like you ask a question. There's 3 questions. They choose it for you, not like you choose it. So it's RPG light.
Right. But I love the the iPad app kind of aspect to it. I think is fantastic. I think like, you don't see what's on the board until you go into the next room, and then the iPad tells you what is in the next room.
Kind of like Hellboy.
Well, Hellboy, you just kind of set up the whole thing, for the mission. But I don't remember. I think some things were like,
some things are hidden. Yeah,
some things are hidden. But Mansions of Madness, the whole thing's hidden.
Right.
Besides, like, your starting room. Like, we were doing the first scenario, and it's great. And then you go, and then remember the scenario, we explored the town, and that just was like, that brought it up to 11, where it's like, you exploring this whole town, and then it's like, oh, there's NPCs that you can talk to, and then they tell you, oh, like, there's this going on, you should check this out, and then you go over here, there's another NPC saying about this, and then you got to get to the boat to finish the scenario. It's great. It's great. And I think we've only done about 3 of the scenarios out of the 4, I think, that are in the main box.
But we've done them a bunch of times, though.
Right. But then there's also the expansions. But anyway, we don't have any of the expansions. We've only done the 3 scenarios for Mansions of Madness Second Edition, the main box, and they're great. They're fantastic, and I love that, like, every time you replay the scenarios, they could be slightly different, Like the layouts will be different, where things are will be different. Same kind of story. It's just the layout and monsters and Doom stuff is different, you know?
Right.
So I think the app thing works perfectly, perfectly
I agree.
for this. I think this is probably my favorite game that uses an app, you know, because we played this, Chronicles of Crime, Last Defense, stuff like that, that uses an
I
app.
was
I
I
think
was
this is my favorite one.
I was gonna say Last Defense is you use an app,
Yeah.
but not really. But it's
Yeah.
actually it's yeah, it's a different game.
Right, right. So
Is
yeah, I mean,
man, would that be a card? That would be a board game, right?
Last Defense.
Yeah, definitely.
Is
Right.
there a board?
There's a board.
Well, then it's a board game. So, but yeah, Mansions of Madness Second Edition. I love. I think I was kind of going back and forth between this and Hellboy because I love Hellboy and I love Mansions of Madness. They're kind of similar, you know. It's the dungeon crawling kind of thing, kind of the same, like Lovecraftian kind of theme with Hellboy. But I like Mansions of Madness a lot better just because it has the app
What I
in
do
there.
like about the two games, both Hellboy and Mansions of Madness, is that you're Mansion of Madness, you're a just a regular person doing whatever. Hellboy, you do have some superheroes in it, but they're not so overly powerful where they're like coming in and destroying stuff or doing whatever. It's balanced. So yeah, that's where they both they both Mansions and Hellboy do kind of meet in the middle, I think.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. But that's it for my number three.
Mm.
Coach, we're going to you. What's your number three?
We already talked about it, but
Whoa.
I got a better picture. But
Whoa.
yeah, so my number three would be Zombicide. Um, we already discussed this before, but I love all the aspects of it. I like the fact that it's cooperative with the you're flipping over cards and abominations are coming in and whatnot. So um, yeah, it's a solid all around game. Um, I think we just covered it in the other one. This we don't have to belabor the point for this, but yeah, Zombicide's
Yeah.
solid, man. And I like to maybe get the expansions, maybe get the Eddies as the Iron Maiden Eddies and whatnot. But let's forge on ahead. What's number two?
It kills me, okay, to put this at number two because of how
I,
much I
I
like this game.
I'm gonna
You're gonna try to guess?
no, I'm gonna make a prediction that
Okay.
um I think we're on the same page here with one and two. I'm just saying. I'm
Okay.
just saying. If you'll reveal it, and then we'll figure it out, and then we'll do number one. But yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. My number two is gonna be Catan.
Oh, with no name. Whoa,
I
really?
know. I love this picture. I
Mm,
love it. I love the picture.
mm,
It's Catan. And here's the thing. Catan is like the Monopoly for experienced board gamers.
mm. Okay.
It's the game in the hobby that everybody knows and that everybody's played. But Catan is a lot better than Monopoly, just saying. I hate Monopoly, but Catan is still fantastic. It's so freaking good. Oh my god.
Mm,
Because here's the thing. Like we the first of all, the expansions. I mean, you add all the expansions in, you do a whole big thing, and
mm.
it elevates the game even more.
Right.
But then even just playing base Catan, it's great. Like going back to playing base Catan with I've played base Catan with people that I'm just introducing to Catan. Obviously, you have to start off with regular Catan before you know kind of go into the expansions and everything. It's I always have a fun time, even playing base Catan without the expansions. Obviously, there's a lot less than when you're doing the expansions, but the expansions just make it also like crazy good. Cities and Knights, Seafarers,
Mm,
Traders and Barbarians, even Dawn of Humankind. its own, which is its own version of Catan, its own game, is still great. It's got the Catan game, but then with a huge overhaul. They're coming out with new energies later in the year. I'm so excited for that because that's another standalone Catan experience. It's such a fantastic game. I cannot stress that enough. Again, I feel like it's cliche to say, but I love it.
Mm.
I love it.
I
Yeah,
agree. I agree.
yeah. um, but yeah, that's my number two.
Mm.
So Coach, I want to know what your number two is here.
Mm. This was a tough one, but I'm gonna have to go with unmatched. Unmatched
Wow.
number two,
Okay.
Cobble and Fog, my favorite board, and my favorite characters in the game. Not out of this box. It's Jekyll and Hyde, who I always play all the time. I really like playing that character. Um, Unmatched has gotten to a point where it has a good system about it, that it has a card system, no dice, which I didn't think I'd like a game without dice. But it's small enough. It's basically, I acute this is like a wargaming light game, because the strategy involved is you trying to kill your opponent or eliminate your opponent. In a lot of war games, you're trying to do that, but also do missions and objectives and things like that. And this really scratches that surface. And we've had a few people who've played Unmatched, and this is kind of like the feeder game into wargaming, because if you can play Unmatched, then you could play a skirmish game, and if you can play a skirmish game, then you can go into a war game. It comes about where it answers questions like, all right, who would win in a fight? Would it be the Invisible Man versus Dracula? Who would win in a fight? Jekyll and Hyde versus Deadpool. You have they figured a way to make it where that isn't that funny. It's like, oh, really? You're going to have, like, the Black Panther versus Invisible Man? Yeah, Invisible Man's tough. You know what I mean? Or it's like, oh, well, I have She-Hulk versus Jekyll and Hyde. Yeah, let me get the right cards, and I'm going to lay out She-Hulk. You know what I mean? It's got a really good mechanic to it that they can't mess around with. But also, too, I got to give a shout-out to whoever the game writers are, because they figured a way on to make their cards really good with the characters and capture the essence and flavor of the characters, while also being able to not make certain characters super overpowered. I mean, there are certain characters that I like and I've been very successful with them, but they fit my play style. And I know you would play them and they're not as good at them, and vice versa. I played, oh, Andrew plays this one, let me always grab this guy. But I don't have the finesse to play that character that maybe you have. And we have different ways about doing it. And it's never a bad time. We've never had a bad game of Unmatched. So, yeah, it's just a solid game. 1 and 2 is always the hardest. But, I digress. And I'll tell you why I picked number 1 over this one, although this is one of my favorite games.
Well, with that, I think we just got to jump right into number 1. So we'll do it at the same time here. On I'll go 3, 2, 1. Mm-hmm. On 1, we'll show what we got.
You have nothing to say about Unmatched?
Are you ready?
Yes.
3, 2, 1. For me, it's Unmatched, and for you, it's Catan. So that's good. That's good.
Do you know why I picked?
I would love to hear.
Well,
I love this picture, by the way, from the digital edition of Unmatched. But okay. What is your reason?
So you put up the original Catan picture, but mine is Cities and Nights, because I feel myself is that I like the original Catan, but if we don't play with Cities and Nights, I like it better with Cities and Nights. Okay? And the reason I picked Catan over Unmatched is because given an opportunity, I would like to play Catan over Unmatched. Not diminishing the fact that I like Unmatched and it came in second. Like we did with our favorite war games, Catan would be number one, and Unmatched would be 1.9 for me. So just kind of at the buzzer, Kobe, and Catan just brought it out. Never had a bad time playing Catan. I am the king of Catan in the house. I always do the power move. I'm always behind, but I always come from behind and win with the 7, 8, or 9. My record is 9 points in one turn. So with that, you could tell because Andrew is disgusted because he knows exactly what I'm doing. And then he starts counting up points, and then he says, "Oh," and I love that when he does that. You see that face, and you just realize that it's all your effort has been for naught because here I come.
The last game of Catan that we played with Cities and Knights, and we played with Fabian, and we played with Ryan. And you needed one more point to win.
Okay.
And it goes to your turn. And you're like, all right, I'm going to do this. And then I'm like, okay, so you won. And you're like, no, wait. Let me finish my turn. I'm going to do this. And then I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And I'm like, just clean up because we're done, okay?
I want to get every single point out of my turn. Even though I know I needed one to go, but I had 6 more in the chamber. It doesn't matter. The King of Catan should be appeased at all times. But yes.
I will say you don't win all the time though, so I'm just putting that out there.
Okay, but
you win out of the let's say 10 times we play, you might win about 7 of those, but still,
that's a pretty good winning percentage.
I know that. That's the problem. We got to change.
I'm batting 700, man. That's $500 million if I was in the pros, but. Yeah, no, I wouldn't. I don't want to play the base game without Cities and Knights or the expansions because it's just gotten to the point where it's just so much more manipulation of where you put your resources, what you're going to do, what you're going to say, whatever. I just love it. And the more expansions, the better. And we want to do the thing where we could put every expansion on the board and play it like that and do a whole. 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. game, which would be fantastic. So
we are still unfortunately missing the Explorers and Pirates box. So unfortunately, we don't have that yet. But we have Seafarers, Cities and Knights, Traders and Barbarians, and then those are like the main big box expansions. Then we got Hawaii, Soccer Fever, which just came out recently. Those are like tiny expansions. And then we have Legend of the Conquerors, which I think you're going to really like because that is the campaign expansion to Cities and Knights. So you play with Cities and Knights in a campaign.
The Nippolopolis, man. That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's Nippolopolis.
It's so good. It's so good. Catan and the expansions are so good. But that being said, I do also love Unmatched. So
for me, I think Unmatched is the perfect board game for me, at least. Cards, miniatures, sometimes tokens, depending on if you have sidekicks and stuff. A small board, quick 20 minutes, and it's just a 1v1. Or 2v2, or teams, or free-for-all, whatever you want. But the best part about the game is that, okay, we're going to take the Soho board from Cobble and Fog, and we're going to take Bruce Lee and Daredevil fight against the T-Rex and King Arthur. Those are from 5 different boxes. So you can just do a whole thing, and it's fantastic.
Well, it's the beauty and the smart, like I said before, where Restoration's got their stuff together, because you could have Bruce Lee fighting the Black Panther in Soho, England. You know what I mean? And that's 5 different, like you said, 5 different boxes coming together. Um, yeah. Well, I don't know
And
because
again,
the last game we had, where it was Golden Bat and She Hulk, that took us a while. That took us a while because those guys are very resilient, and that
yeah,
took us about an hour. That was the
yeah,
longest. That was the longest game we've ever played of Unmatched.
yeah, yeah. That battle report should be up by the time this is up.
Mm. That was a
Yeah,
that was a
that
knockdown
was a good
drag out.
game.
That came
Yeah,
down to the wire. Not I don't want to spoil it, but you got to watch this one. This one was tough.
yeah,
Like no cards tough.
right. And with Catan, it's kind of the same thing too, though. You can do the Catan box. You can do Cities and Knights. You
Mm.
can do Seafarers. You can do the Treasures, Dragons, and Adventurers box. That's 4 boxes
Mm.
for one scenario. Like Treasures, Dragons, and Adventurers, you have to play with Cities and Knights and Seafarers.
It's fine. It's cities.
So
See, like for me, base Catan is Cities and Knights.
right, and there's a lot of people that don't like Cities and Knights too.
I don't. I for the life of me don't understand that.
Me neither. Me neither. But
How can you not like the best expansion in Catan? I
yeah,
just I don't understand it.
and you know what? People also love Explorers and Pirates, and we haven't played it yet, so we're
I
definitely.
think it's
I think
just I
that's
think we should
eventually
just
gonna
do it.
happen.
Just we should
Yeah,
just do it.
I think.
The
I
only
think
only
that,
one
that
drawback to Catan. There's only one. I only have one negative to say about it, and it pains me to say it, but you need a minimum of 3 players. You can't do just like all these every other game on this that we went through. We can do 2 players. Mansions of Madness is better with 3, but it's not necessary. Unfathomable, Hellboy, Zombicide, and Pandemic and uh, Unmatched. For me, all mine can be 2. Catan unfortunately needs 3, and
yeah,
I mean it's not a deal breaker, but it's harder to get because me and you can just like probably right after this we're gonna do something, but we can't play Catan. We got a third person, and
yeah.
then
I mean,
you don't want
when it's
you don't want a rookie. You want somebody who knows what they're doing to
right.
to make it challenging.
Well, when it's you and me, it's like let's play Catan. Well, we can't.
Mm,
So then we gotta wait, for either Ryan, Fabian, my friends, whoever, to come over and actually
mm,
play
right.
Catan. So I definitely listen. It was very hard for me to choose between 1 and 2,
Mm,
Catan and Unmatched. It was like I had like for our top 5 favorite miniature games, I knew what number 1 was gonna be, and the rest was the hard part. For
mm,
this, knew what everything else was going to be besides 1 and 2. 1 and 2, I kept going back and forth with. So, but I love both. I just think Unmatched is uh, just a little bit better, only because it is for me at least, it is like the perfect board game. You can combine expansions, and the best part is that I don't even have. They're technically not expansions.
mm,
They're their own things. The only true expansions they have are Bruce Lee and Deadpool, and they don't even sell those anymore. They only have, like if you buy Robin Hood versus Bigfoot, if you buy Houdini versus Genie, you could just play with that. You don't need any other boxes, and that's great. That's
mm.
a great thing.
But you're never gonna just do that.
Yeah, well, I mean, look at us. We have every box besides Buffy.
But
So
you also you were hooked when this game came out. You bought it and it was like, oh, this is pretty good, and then it was like, oh, and that was when it first came out. They were throwing expansions out or new boxes out. So it was a good time to get into it because I remember it was like, oh, well, let's get Bruce Lee. I remember we were on vacation and we bought it, and we were playing it that night in the hotel, and it was a lot of fun. It's a good game to go around. The only thing is it's hard to travel with because you try to bring every expansion in box with it. So, but
yeah,
but yeah, it's a solid game. I think I kind of knew you were going to do that for 1. And
yeah,
I knew what
yeah,
number 2 was going to be. So for me, it was reversed, but it's all right. It's the same difference because if I say let's play Catan. All right, let's do it. And if you say, well, let's get in a match game in, I have no problem with it. So it works out famously.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean that's our top five. So and that's better. Do you have anything else to say, Coach?
No, I think this was like the last one. It was hard to do, man. Like the honorable mention and number five is easy, and then after that it's hard. Like you have your games, and like, well, why didn't this one make it? Why didn't this one make it? All right, well, these are the ones that made it, but where should I put them? And thinking of reasons why. And I know it's like it's not really a big deal, but you kind of agonize over this and what you should do. So, but yeah, solid choices all around. And I'm glad like we only had three this time that were the same games.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. In different spots, but
Mm-hmm.
pretty pretty good lists all around.
Mm.
But yeah, guys. So I want you guys to let us know what your top five favorite miniature games, board games,
Mm.
are down in the comments below. We'd love to hear what you think, and then also you can check out our link tree in the description or show notes, depending on where you're listening to this. If you're listening to it on YouTube, it's in the description. Spotify and iTunes also probably in the description or show notes on there. So you can check those out. Our link tree's there. It's got our YouTube channel where we post weekly, our Twitter, Instagram, all our social medias, and then our Patreon. If you want to support the channel, you can on there. We post exclusive content on there, behind the scenes photos, and then even early videos. So this video is definitely up early for Patreon members, and then we release it, on a certain day for everybody else. So if you want to support us on Patreon, you can on there. And then also our Discord is in there too, where you can talk to us and other fellow wargamers as well. And then the other links to the podcast and everything are in there as well. But guys, that is it. Subscribe, follow the iTunes or Spotify, uh, podcasts on there. Subscribe to the channel if you're watching this on YouTube, and we'll see you guys in the next one.